Part 3 of Chapter 11 is devoted to project risk management processes. It's an overview of all the processes and tasks that you as a project manager will have to participate if you decide to manage project risks throughout the duration of your project. A schematic representation of all the processes under project risk management is provided here. Roughly, all those processes, they fall into two categories or phases. Processes related to planning for risk, and also processes or tasks related to monitoring and controlling risk in relation to a particular project. So here you have a list of processes under planning. These processes include planning risk management, identifying risk, performing qualitative and quantitative risk analysis, planning possible risk responses. And then throughout the actual execution and closure phase of your project, you as a project manager will have to perform monitoring and controlling of risks. We will talk in a bit more detail about each of these processes comprising project risk management in a few minutes. Okay, planning risk management or planning for risk. This process involves deciding how to approach and plan the risk management activities for the project. So it's creating a rough plan or a rough outline of how you're going to approach risk in relation to your project. Identifying risk is a more granular analysis that involves determining which risks are likely to affect a project and documenting the characteristics of each of the risks. Performing qualitative risk analysis involves looking at identified risks qualitatively, meaning not in terms of numbers, but in terms of impressions and opinions. And typically this process involves prioritizing risks based on their probability and impact of occurrence. Now, quantitative risk analysis is something that is a bit more precise, and it's typically done on the top of qualitative analysis. As the name suggests, performing quantitative risk analysis involves numerically estimating the effects of risk on project objectives. So once you have analyzed your risk quantitatively and qualitatively, you need to plan for risk responses. That process involves taking steps to enhance opportunities coming from positive risks and reduce threats coming from negative risks in order to meet project objectives. And then throughout the duration of the project, throughout the execution and closure phase, you will have to be engaged in monitoring and controlling for risks, and that involves monitoring identified and residual risks, identifying new risks as the project evolves, carrying out risk response plans, and evaluating the effectiveness of risk strategies throughout the life of the project. So this is a high-level overview of all the processes under project risk management, and we will talk about each of those processes and specifically about specific tasks or activities, deliverables, methodologies, techniques in a bit more detail in the upcoming Chapter 11 parts that we will cover as a part of this video presentation.